in the efforts to increase exports virtually for American producers. In addition to facing high tariffs, we know that competitive American industries such as agriculture are facing, as mentioned before, non-tariff trade barriers, which can only be addressed by establishing the enforceable and science-based standards and trading rules. Representing thousands of Nebraska producers, I certainly pay close attention to the policies impacting agriculture technology. Thanks to modern practices in biotechnology, we're saving water and increasing yields, and there's a lot of great news about this. And yet, unpredictable and unscientific sanitary and phytosanitary hurdles are blocking entry into these key markets, and many of my colleagues have mentioned that already this morning. But very specifically, considering that crops produced through biotechnology account for about 30% of our U.S. exports, agriculture exports that is, the biotech approval processes should be a top policy priority, I would hope, for this administration. Could you provide an update on what USTR is doing to ensure that such barriers are receiving the proper attention? And also, in recent years, we know that China, obviously a key market for U.S. ag exports, has stopped numerous shipments without justifiable cause or proper notice. And would you support USTR's raising this issue within the 2014 U.S.-China Joint Commission on Commerce and Trade process?
Yes. Well, thank you for that question. First of all, on the last point with regard to China and biotechnology products, in fact, we were in China in December. Secretary Pritzker, Secretary Vilsack, and myself for a meeting of the JCCT, and this was very much front and center on the agenda, both the issues of stopping certain exports, but also their process for approving biotechnology products and assuring that they have a process that's consistent with the best science and that makes decisions on a timely and appropriate basis. This issue is obviously a key issue with our negotiations with the European Union. And there, of course, we've won a WTO case. There's been a European Court of Justice case about the importance of the EU maintaining its own timetable for approving new products and biotechnology products, and this is a key part of our negotiation. So it is very much on the agenda, and the Europeans understand the importance to us, and we're working to find ways that we can make progress on this consistent with each party's interests.
Okay, thank you. And also, we've heard several references here this morning of the concern about Japan and perhaps even more specifically the production of U.S. pork, perhaps in its treatment specifically. But also, I would like to raise concerns about Canada and not opening to dairy, poultry, and egg markets, and not opening their markets. Could you perhaps speak to that and how we should move forward with that, or perhaps I don't expect you to share absolute strategy, but certainly how should we move forward?
Well, yes, on both with Japan, we continue to press on those issues we've talked about, and you're absolutely right on Canada. It's the only country in TPP that has not yet given us a market access offer on issues like, on agricultural issues like dairy and poultry, and we are pressing them to do so because those are important priorities for us. We're addressing their priorities in a number of ways, and we want them to come to the table as part of an overall package.
Right. Well, and I appreciate what you mentioned earlier that a comprehensive trade agreement needs to open things up. And I appreciate your efforts, and I look forward to working together on behalf of U.S. producers and actually U.S. consumers as well. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you. Mr. Schock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.